and welcome back to Just One Question with Neelakshi Sengupta. We have with us the super talented architect and theatre actor ANUBHA FATEHPURIA. We also know from her last chat that she's a trained dancer and a trained painter. And I'm told she's equally comfortable in Hindi or Bengali or English as a language, both in daily life and on stage. I'm very curious to know which language theatre did she start with? Tell us all, Anubha.
So I would say that I didn't get into any theatre, any particular language theatre. I got into theatre accidentally. I was offered a play, and then theatre became a part of my life. It became a way of life for me from then on.
And this was in Calcutta? But which language? Hindi, Bengali or English?
Firstly, I don't even really agree with classifying theatre in terms of languages, especially today. Yes, I understand that, looking at the history of how theatre evolved in Calcutta, why it's called English language theatre and why it's called Hindi theatre, and then, of course, the Bengali theatre.
Uh-huh.
But throughout my 22 years of doing theatre, because I've done theatre in English, in Bangla and in Hindi, and I have constantly been wondering about this in terms of audiences as well as a theatre practitioner myself, that it's high time that we at least now go beyond language, go beyond classifying theatre as English language theatre, Hindi theatre, Bengali theatre. Because especially for us in our country, it just doesn't make sense because theatre is happening in so many different languages.
Okay, tell us more.
And it just so happened that, I've worked with a lot of theatre directors across the country who work in Hindi. So I have worked with them, and so the language was Hindi. And then over here I have worked with Shumon Mukhopadhyay, who does work in Bengali. So I, played in Bengali. And then I joined Padatik Theatre in 2002, 1, something like that. I don't remember exactly, 1, 2. And it's primarily a Hindi theatre group. So there is a lot of Hindi theatre happening here.
So that was Bengali and Hindi work.
But there have been directors over here who have done plays in English. So I've happened to do plays in English. So I don't look at really language as... I would not like to label the theatre based on language. It just happens to be this language, and this play happens to be in another language, or a third play happens to be in a third language. So I think it's really just only about that.
So you mean not to mark theatre in terms of language, is it?
So there are these certain, associations which people have formed over the years, that, English language theatre means this, and Hindi theatre means this, and Bangla theatre is this. But I think that is not true. Out of my own experience, having worked in all three languages, my experience has been that theatre is theatre. How you choose to, do your theatre is what your theatre is, what your group's theatre is, or is this director's theatre, this person's theatre, or this group's theatre. I think that's how it sort of differs, not really language, because you could be putting as much work, and the process could be as intense and exhausting and everything, sort of mind churning. Life changing in some cases. The process could be as important, and it could be in any language. It could be in English, it could be in Hindi, it could be in Bangla. So I feel that at least now and the next generation of theatre makers shouldn't really be looking at classifying it based on spoken language. Not in today's day and age.
Now that's a very interesting approach you got there. And for that matter, why just Hindi, Bengali or English? Our country has so many languages, so many dialects. And if we were to look at any art form, devoid of any region or language or culture that can separate them, and instead looked at every art form as a whole, the nation would have so much more to unite us with. This is a very interesting thought that is worth probing. I need to talk to you a lot more, Anubha, and understand better. I'll be chatting with you again very soon. And you have been listening to Just One Question with Nilakshi Sengupta. Thank you once again for listening in.